Hello and welcome to Hot Money Technicals on BloombergQuint Live, India's first digital live streaming business news service. This is a show which gets you a complete wrap of all the stocks that are buzzing in trade. I'm Darshan Mehta. Let's welcome our experts then. Dyaneshwar Padwal of KIFS Securities and Amit Shah of Indiabulls Ventures join us on the show. But before we begin with the show with our analysts, let's bring in Yash Upadhyay, who has a chart on Bajaj Auto. Yash, of late Bajaj Auto has been doing rather well for itself. What does the chart indicate?
Good afternoon, Darshan. Bajaj Auto has been under pressure for the last couple of trading sessions now. This is the longer-term chart of Bajaj Auto on the weekly time frame. And what we are seeing is that when the price topped out around the mark of 3,200, 3,250, look at how the RSI has behaved. The RSI too, breached the mark of 70, which is the overbought mark. And then we have seen 2 consecutive weeks of, selling pressure in the counter. Today too, the stock opened gap down and it has been trading lower. And that is something that we've been seeing over the last 2 to 3 trading sessions as well. The yellow line marks the highs over this period, over the long-term period, and the last time the RSI topped out above the mark of 70, we saw the stock come up at least around 15 to 17% on a closing basis. Again, we are seeing the same amount of weakness come in. This is the first time that we're seeing the stock, in fact, trading lower for a second consecutive week. So you could see some amount of weakness, although most of the other auto names are doing fairly well. Bajaj Auto seems to be one name which may see further weakness coming in.
Okay, thanks so much for that, Yash. Dyaneshwar, Bajaj Auto has been a marked outperformer at least over the past few weeks. Do you feel that it's getting exhausted at high levels? Is it a sell recommendation according to you?
Well, Darshan, if you look at the, if I look at the current scenario, so it has given a 45-degree up move towards the northern trajectory, and stock is taken a pause near about 3,300, and 3,100 would be a very strong support for the Bajaj Auto, because previous swing high was placed at, and once the Bajaj Auto has crossed that high, and that resistance become the support for the Bajaj Auto. So I would look at the buy at 3,100.
3,100 is the buy level that you would speak at. What's your sense on this?
Yeah, so as you rightly said, Darshan, it has been an outperformer within the auto pack, and I think that doesn't change. It's just a very minor normal corrections that any stocks go through. Even the best of stocks, they do decline and go up. That is how tops and bottoms are made. No, I mean, there's nothing alarming. Yes, we could see a move towards 3,000, 3,020 kind of levels on the downside, but I'd look to accumulate towards that zone. I would not look to short this stock as of now.
Okay, that's the view that's coming in on Bajaj Auto. Buy at lower levels, not short at this level, seems to be the consensus view that's coming in. Let's begin with the first round of chart. Dyaneshwar has a chart on Godfrey Phillips. Let's pull up the chart. Of late has managed to do well, but let's see what exactly has happened. You can see the move that happened from almost levels of 700 right up to levels of 1,200. What's your sense? Do you believe that there could be more upside?
Yes, of course, Darshan. If you look at this move particularly, we have seen that the impulsive reaction has been formed on the chart, and after the impulsive reaction, the stock has taken a lot of time to correct over here, and it has not broken the 400 mark. So again, this pattern I would say that the intermediate trend line resistance has taken stocks over here near about 1,000 level, and again it has managed to broke that resistance and place above the 1,100 mark. So this is a good opportunity to buy. And if you look at the RSI, so RSI is also indicating a buy signals when you look at the RSI. So here you can clearly observe the inverse head and shoulder has been broken out over there, and stock is RSI is poised to move towards the northern trajectory, which will help to give the impact on the price. So I would say current market price is a good buying opportunity. Keep a stop loss of 1080 for an initial leg of up move towards the uncharted territory, that is in 1,700. This is a call for an investment, I could say.
Okay, will the move be as sharp as it was last time? Or will it be slow and gradual this time?
No, it would be a very sharp move, but it is not predicted that this move will compare with that move, but this move is also a very harsh move.
Okay, thanks so much for that, Dyaneshwar. Amit, is that something that you would agree? Would you be a buyer in Godfrey?
Yes, I would completely agree with him. Actually, the stock is showing good momentum on the upside. So above 1,100, stock has broken out in the short term. So it's a confluence of a short-term breakout, and also that breakout is coinciding coinciding with the overall larger setup breakout, which is a 4-year consolidation, which could materialize into a very big breakout. So if the stock sustains above, the recent top of 1300, actually it can go and make fresh all-time highs above 1650 also. I would look to buy this stock at this price. I would also use some declines towards 1100, 1120 kind of zone. Keep a stop below 940 and try and ride this as much as possible. This could be a big one.
Okay, that could be the move that come in. Godfrey Phillips is the one. The next stock we want to talk about is Granules India. Came out with very strong set of numbers in the second quarter. There was a sharp move that happened post the counter. Let's have the chart. Again, you could see the level that the counter has moved from levels of 75, 80, 85 to levels of almost 130 now. Do you believe there could be more potential upside?
Definitely. So, this is a monthly chart. So each candle is, a month's move. So what we are seeing here is, this zone had been, this yellow zone had been acting as a support. We had seen a breach, a temporary breach, I would say. It was a premature breakdown or a false breakdown, I would say. So this zone had, had seen breakdowns. Normally, such kind of breakdowns, you see stocks sliding very, very sharply, but that is not the case with Granules. So I would call this as a premature breakdown. And post that, what we have seen is a nice consolidation, a formation of a triangular pattern for a good amount of time. It has closed on a monthly basis for 1 month, and now also we are almost ending towards, reaching towards the end of the month. Again, this month also we are seeing a good support coming in at this zone. So the setup looks quite good, and generally when there is a false or a premature breakdown on the wrong side, generally stocks tends to shoot on the other side. So it's a nice setup. Overall pharma is coming back in a way. So I think it's a nice setup for a long entry.
Okay, that's the view that's coming in on Granules India. Thanks.
And just, sorry. The target would be, the first target would be 160 on the upside and 175 on the upside.
Okay, 160 and?
175.
160 and 175. What's the strict stop loss for this?
I'll keep a stop of 112 on this one.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Dyaneshwar, Granules India?
Yeah, of course. Well, Darshan, if you look at the overall indices, so indices is moving towards a northern trajectory that is a lifetime high. And if you calculate the stocks like in Granules who have completed its correction and coming out of the correction and moving towards a northern trajectory, so this kind of stocks will give a good risk reward ratio. So current market price is a good opportunity to buy. Keep a stop loss of 115 for an initial leg of move towards the 160.
Okay, that's the view that's coming in on Granules. The next chart is a chart on ITC. Dyaneshwar has a short call on the counter. Remember, yesterday we did something very interesting in terms of ITC and HUL, the valuation. At a 13-year low is where the valuation is. So HUL has been a marked outperformer while ITC has been a marked underperformer. But at 250, what's your sense on ITC?
Yeah, Darshan, as rightly you said, ITC has marked the underperforming as a key benchmark index as in FMCG. And if you look at the overall sector of FMCG, so FMCG has outperformed the key benchmark index like a Nifty. And in that space, ITC is lagging behind. So if you look at the current scenario on a daily time frame charts, so if you look at this, ITC is moving in a consolidation of 270 to 240 range, and recently we observed that the trend line, intermediate trend line has been broken down. So any pullback comes towards the 250 to 252, which will test the trend line. So that could be a great selling opportunity. Keep a stop loss of 262 and for an initial leg of down move towards the 220.
220. And how do you see a sharp down move coming in, or will it be slow and gradual?
So as we observe that the previous moves is a very sharp kind of, so we are expecting this move also will lead to the sharpness. And again, if you look at the RSI, so RSI is also indicated intermediate trend line breakdown. So, and it is consistently facing the resistance of 60, that is a bullish zone. Again, 2 times it has tested 60, but it could not manage to sustain above the 60 marks, and intermediate trend line has been broken down. So we may see the sharp fall into the
But it does
ITC.
manage to bounce back from levels of 40, 45. You've seen one to twice, thrice we've seen it managing to move up, at least on the uptrend.
Yes, of course.
So
It is managed to take the sustain of the 40. But if you look at the overall RSI chart, so 60 to 20 would be an bearish zone. If it is RSI stays above the 40 and 80, so that would be an bullish zone. So if you look at the overall chart, so it is continuously managing to stay below the 60 mark.
Okay.
So that would be a great selling opportunity.
Okay, thanks so much for that, Dyaneshwar. Amit, what's your sense on ITC? Would you be sure?
Yeah, I mean, within the FMCG pack, it has been a big laggard, and it has broken down below the levels of, 249 kind of levels on the downside. But at the same time, it's not showing that vigor on the downside. It's just slowly and steadily grinding down. Yes, the direction is definitely on the downside. I would not actually look to buy this stock unless and until it closes about 270 region, So till 270 region is not breached on the upside on a closing basis, I would continue to remain short on this one. Or I would even advise some of the investors, this could be a good exit point at some point of time. This stock can have a slow and grinding down phase on the downside, and we could see levels of about 195 on the downside.
Okay, so ITC is a stock, probably not the bullish call that's coming in. The next stock is a strategy that Amit has on Raymond. Now, remember, a while back, Raymond did a lot of restructuring as far as its textile business is concerned, the other business is concerned, and the market somehow seems to like it. Let's pull up the chart and we can clearly see the big up move that came. Yes, that was the big up move from levels of 600 to 800. Do you believe it's managed to correct down by almost 75, 80, 90 rupees? What's the ideal strategy here?
Yeah, so see, I mean, this phase of down phase and then a consolidation and then a big breakout. I mean, this is a weekly candle, with a very, very strong volumes. This kind of volumes indicate, good hands being into the stock, strong hands being into the stock. That's the indication here. So it was a nice weekly strong close, almost towards the top of the weekly close. So that's a very nice setup. The recent retracement towards key averages offers a very good entry point onto the stock. So basically the momentum is building up for Raymond. Overall, the broader trend, also the larger picture is also quite good. So I mean, current scenario offers a good entry point.
So you said buy on dips till what level? Is that 715?
No, I would look to buy
till what level?
I would actually buy here as well, because the dip has already come, and it is near support area. So I would actually go ahead and buy even at this price.
Till what level?
And another 15-20 rupees on the downside is always welcome, but I would still even go ahead and buy at this level as well.
So when does this trade become null and void? What's the stop loss?
I'll keep a stop of 680 on the downside.
Okay.
And the target that I'm looking for is 810 and then 855 on the upside.
Okay, so you see the recent highs again being tested, and
yes,
then
recent highs tested, and then again a new high above this.
Okay, thanks so much for that. Raymond, 715. Dyaneshwar, is that something that you would be bullish on?
Yeah, of course, Raymond has given a very good sharp up move towards the northern trajectory, and if you look at the higher time frame chart, so yes, correction has been completed till 540, and the up move has initiated in just October from the 540 towards the 820, and stock has corrected almost 50% correction has been done. But if you look at the daily chart, so area gap has been created on the 8th November. So I would wait for to cover the gap till 680. So that would be a great buying opportunity. Keep a stop loss of 650 for an initial leg of up move towards the 780 and 820.
Okay, that's the view that's coming in on the counter. Let's move on to the last counter, at least final round from our charts from our guest. Dyaneshwar has a short call again this time around, and this time it's on Interglobe Aviation. Let's have the chart. Obviously not all working well for Interglobe Aviation. The results were bad. The maintenance cost at least will move on to the next few quarters, and there is traction that's happening on the negative side for Interglobe Aviation. So at the 1420 level, why are you negative on Interglobe?
Darshan, if you look at the current scenario. So chart is moving in by making a higher top higher bottom formation, and simultaneously the intermediate trend line has supported. And if you look at the 200-day moving average, it also supported the intermediate trend line. But here if you closely observe, so trend line has been broken down, simultaneously stock is managed to trade below the 200-day moving average. So it is showing a kind of weakness, because 200-day moving average is, it's a long-term average. The stock is trading below the long-term average, and if you look at the indices is marching towards the new high. So ultimately this stock is would underperform the key benchmark index. So current market price is a good shorting opportunity, or any rise comes towards the 440, 1440, 1450. So that could be a great selling opportunity. Keep a stop loss of 1500 where the 200 moving average is placed. Stop loss would be on closing basis, because if the stock is managed to close above the 200-day moving average, so traders should get exit from the short position.
Okay, what's the target that you said on the
initial leg of down move towards the 1280.
1280, and you expect this to be a sharp down move, or will it be slow and gradual?
It would be a very slow and gradual, because stock will take a long time to consolidate over here, because it is trading just now 200-day moving average. So it will take, again it can be tested towards the 200-day moving average. So that could be a shorting opportunity.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Dyaneshwar. Amit, is that something that you agree? Are you also short on Indiabulls?
Actually, I would avoid a short here.
Okay.
See, from 1900 levels to sub 1400 levels, the stock has corrected decently. Last time its correction ended somewhere near that 200 mark, 200 EMA mark, which is where it is trading below that zone, but it's not significantly lower from those kind of levels. It's just meandering and buying time around these levels after that big fall. So there could be a counter trend rally on the upside, which could trigger above 1540 kind of levels. So I would avoid a short as of now.
Okay, avoid a short at this point of time. And the last short, at least from our guest, is on Canara Bank, and that's by Amit. And obviously for the past 2 days, PSU banking stocks have managed to rally. Yesterday most of the PSU banks did manage to rally. Some of the smaller counters were up almost 20%, some thought like a corporation bank. Today it did manage to rally, but has managed to cool off its trading flat in trade. But overall, I believe you first want to talk on the Nifty PSU Bank Index. Correct. And then you'll speak on Canara. Yes,
true. Yeah, so what we are seeing here is, after a long decline, what we are seeing here is a PSU Bank Index, which is showing signs of a nice reversal from the downtrend to the on the upside. It is making an inverse head and shoulder typically, and this is what you are seeing mostly on most PSU banking charts, So this is just a broader picture of the PSU banking index. Now we'll switch over to the Canara Bank. So again, almost on the same lines like the PSU index, bank index, Canara Bank has given a breakout above this green zone, which is the neckline of the inverted head and shoulder after a nice downtrend. So there's a good sector push for the stock, as Darshan rightly said. There's a sector push. Banking index itself has, even in this phase of consolidation that we had been seeing for the market since last 4 or 5 sessions, banking was charging up and basically showing good momentum on the upside, taking the leadership. That itself in a way told that this market is not falling much. So banking, both the PSU and private banks are moving in tandem. I think banking stocks are in a very sweet spot right now.
Okay, it's at 223. What's the ideal strategy?
I would look to buy with small dips, small dips towards 215 to 210 kind of a zone. Even if someone is aggressive, someone can buy here. Otherwise, a small dip towards 210 to 215 is an ideal place to buy. I'll keep a stop of 202, and the first target that I'll look for is 250 on the upside, and then 270.
Okay, that's the view that's coming in. Thanks so much for that. So Canara Bank is something that's been spoken about. Dyaneshwar, what's your sense on Canara?
Darshan, it's an classical example of invert head and shoulder pattern, and the neckline has been broken at 215. Stock right now quoting at 220. So any dips comes towards the 215, that could be a great buying opportunity. And stop loss, I would say some longer stop loss, because ideal stop loss for an head and shoulder pattern would be an right shoulder, so that is placed near 193. So 193 would be a stop loss, and if you take a longer view, so stock may test the 270 280 mark.
Okay, that's the view that's coming in. Bullish call coming in on Canara Bank, and Yash is back with his second chart, and this time it's on Titan. Remember, Titan corrected significantly post the numbers. Let's pull up the chart and recommend what Yash is indicating.
So it is a buy call on Titan, and we've seen the amount of weakness in the counter coming in after their results, which came in significantly lower than what the street was expecting. We saw the big gap down move, and post that it has been trading close to in a sideways trend. But from a longer term perspective, this is the weekly chart of Titan, and the pink line over here, that is the 55-week exponential moving average. And historically, if you see, the 55-week exponential moving average has acted as a strong support for the counter. It is still fairly above that mark, so an ideal strategy would be to use the 55-week exponential moving average as a trading stop, and from buying on dips for targets upwards of close to 300, which is where the stock's all-time high is as well. Currently, the stock is quoting at around 1165, so about a 50 rupees downside is what you could see. But the upside could be in excess of 150 rupees, so 3 times the upside. However, there have been whipsaws around the 55-week exponential moving average, so a stop loss slightly below that, about 2% below the 55-week exponential moving average, that would be the best strategy. The RSI, as you could see as well, has almost flattened out around the mark of 40 as well, so that means around these marks, around these current levels, we are seeing some amount of accumulation happening. Even if there is a move on the downside, it would be restricted to around 1000 or 1050 from current levels. So do look at Titan on the longer side.
Okay, that's the view that's coming in on Titan. 1165. Dyaneshwar, Titan, what should one do?
Well, Darshan, I will take a small bet over here, because recently, if you look on a daily chart frame, daily time frame chart, so last 2 weeks stock has facing a resistance of 1175. If Titan is managed to take out the 1175, then only I would go long in Titan by keeping a stop loss of 1150 for an initial leg of up move towards the 1240, 1260.
Okay, that's the view that's coming in, and what's your sense on Titan, Amit?
Yeah, I mean, after the fall, it's been just trying to hold around that 200 EMA zone, but still no energy to go up as of now. I would look to buy this only about 1200. That is the zone, you know, that day candle has large volumes, you know. So I would look to buy only about 1200. Till it does not cross 1200, I would just stay away from the counter.
Okay, that's the view that's coming in on the counter, and let's also discuss some stocks which are buzzing in trade. Obviously, you can't ignore Reliance Industries, almost on the verge of a 10 lakh crore market cap that is coming in. Pull up the counter. 1577 is where the 10 lakh crore mark will hit. What's your sense, Dyaneshwar? Reliance Industries, does it look bullish?
Yeah, of course, it is moving into the higher top, higher bottom formation, and if you look at the higher time frame charts like in monthly or yearly, so it is giving an indication of bullishness. So every 5 to 6% dip should be capitalized as a buying opportunity.
And what's your sense on Reliance?
Yeah, I mean, this has been actually one of the favorites. Last Diwali, this was a big Diwali pick, you know. So, I mean, I continue to really like the way it has broken out from a good 10-year range, you know. I think it has a multi-year kind of an upside. We could be really surprised on the targets on the upside. In the near term, we can see, you know, levels of about 1640 and then 1700.
Okay, that's the view that's coming in on Reliance Industries. Consensus bullish call. The next stock is Vodafone Idea, which has actually managed to double over the past few trading sessions. Amit, would you take a position in Vodafone?
No, I would not. Yeah, of course, it's a very sharp up move, but then the fall was equally sharp, you know. We get carried away looking at the near-term picture, but the broader picture still says it's a very, very weak stock, and probably, you know, some further up move could be, chance to exit.
Dyaneshwar, Vodafone?
Yeah, trend is still down. Recent up move is, if you look at the bottom price of 3 rupees to 2.5, so if you calculate from 3 rupees to 7 rupees, so people almost observe that the stock has doubled. But if you look at the overall trend, so it is indicating negative. Those who has done a bottom fishing try to book profit over here, and those who have stuck in the stock try to get exit.
Okay, that's the view. And the final stock we want to discuss is Shree Cement. Obviously, the QIP was announced, but the counter did manage to rally. It's up almost 2%, coming off the day's high, but nevertheless at 20,400. Dyaneshwar, Shree Cement, how does it look on the charts?
Yeah, if you look at the weekly time frame chart, so stock is trading in a quite range of 22,000 on a higher side and 17,500 on a lower side. If stock is managed to take out the 22,000, so then only I would go long. Otherwise, traders should avoid this stock.
What's your sense, Amit?
Yeah, I mean, it's showing, it is looking like it's building up the momentum, and the sideways phase is about to get over. A close above, 20,600 would actually propel the stock, and on the upside, the momentum would then build. I think about 20,600, it is likely to again test its all-time highs of about 22,400.
Okay, that's the view that's coming in on Shree Cement. But with that, it's a wrap on today's edition of Hot Money. Ask BQ comes up next. Let me thank my guests who've come in today, both Dyaneshwar and Amit. Thank you so much for coming in today. Ask BQ comes up next. Stay tuned to BloombergQuint.